to on the peer learning outcomes. Let's see. The codependency will be kind of at the very end, the last little, actually, I think an attachment at the end of your slides. That's on objective 3. I'll tell you kind of as we go through the slides which objectives they apply to. There are several of them, of course, that apply to several. Number 7, I think that's the last 3 or 4 slides. We'll go back and look at one table. It's 7.1 on page 65. So there's just one table that you'll look at for objective 8. And then on page 396, there are several websites. There's a chart with several good websites to look at that refer back to that objective.
Mrs. Martinez, is there any chance you have the student mic on?
Oh, it's a possibility.
Oh, thank you, that's better.
Okay, we got. Okay, it's okay,
Yeah, I think it's 1:45. This is 1:48 actually, so we're going to get started. All of us, theory instructions were told that we needed to get rolling around 1:45 in order to not fall behind, so. Yeah, the capture is on, so. So what is an addiction, and what is substance abuse? An addiction is when there's such a compulsive need or requirement for the substance that it generates stress for you, either physical or psychological, if you don't address that desire or need. Your body can develop what it considers to be a physical addiction. There are psychologically addictive substances and physically addictive substances. And the physical one puts you into withdrawal if you do not keep your blood levels up. So how do you know that your use of this substance falls into the substance use disorder category? Well, it's kind of like when we were talking about anxiety. We all have anxiety at one time or another, but it isn't a disorder if it doesn't interfere with our ability to fulfill our work obligations. And for us, that has to do with our work, our school, our home life. And if you have a substance use disorder, you will continue to use this substance in spite of adverse consequences. Sometimes people do that with some defense mechanisms that substance abusers become very, very good at. The 2 most common ones are denial. My use of this substance has nothing to do with me losing my job, or minimizing their use. Minimizing that, I'm not really a problem drinker, or I only smoke marijuana on the weekend, so it's not a problem. Playing down the use and ignoring if it's causing problems in relationships or in employment or in school. This quote, which I thought was kind of interesting, from our Surgeon General in 2017, not that long ago. We have to stop treating addiction as a moral failing and start seeing it for what it is, a chronic disease that must be treated with urgency and compassion. I don't know that our current political environment views this as such. We seem to spend a lot more money putting people in prison for their addictions than we do trying to help them get over them. So I'm not quite sure that we honestly have this view as a society, that this particular person's feelings on the subject. So, some more things about how do you know if it's an addiction? Well, the person may attempt to control use, maybe they try to cut back, but they fail. And often it's kind of like those of us who are yo-yo dieters. We might lose 3 pounds and gain back 4. This person might start out drinking an 8-pack at night and then they cut down to 4 or 5, but pretty soon they're up to 12. So their use actually tends to creep gradually upward instead of downward, even though there are periodic attempts to cut back. Maybe the attempts to cut back are for financial reasons. It's expensive to buy this much alcohol or this much marijuana or meth or whatever it is. Maybe it's caffeine. Maybe you're saying, I spend this much money at Starbucks as I do putting gas in my car. I'm going to cut back on my caffeine. But you might instead buy your caffeine somewhere cheaper or bring it from home and drink 2 or 3 pods a day instead of 1. So that's kind of some ideas that there may be some addiction involved. Have pretty intense cravings, interpersonal relationships are being harmed. If someone's telling you that your use of this substance is interfering with your relationship, you know, there's a good possibility it is. Maybe you show up at family gatherings tipsy or more than tipsy over and over and over again, and your family starts getting kind of disgusted with you and angry with you. And maybe they stop inviting you to family birthdays, family get-togethers, because you usually knock something over or spill something or start a silly argument because you're under the influence and your judgment's impaired. So you can become somewhat socially isolated. Sometimes old friends who are serious about their schooling or their job will drop the person who's developed a addiction because they're not fun to be around anymore. They only want to socialize when they're using. They spend all their time and money on this medication or this substance, and it's just not so much fun to hang around with them anymore. You get frustrated. They kind of seem to have developed some really selfish traits that they used to not have, and maybe bum money off of you pretty often and not pay you back. So it does tend to put some wear and tear on families and friendships. Oops, wrong direction. Okay, so what might be a hazardous activity that someone would undertake when they were drinking, Enid? Driving is our first answer. Tonkawa, something else somebody might do that they really shouldn't when they've had too much to drink.
Did you hear that? She said working.
Working, okay, and work can involve heavy equipment. You can endanger people you're working around, or you can make a lot of mistakes. Someone over here said gambling, which is a good point, because like if I decide I want to go gamble and I'm gonna take $20, and if I lose my $20 at the slot machine, I'm finished. But if in the meantime I had several beverages and got impaired, I might go to the ATM and take out 200 and spend 200 that I can't afford to lose. So that would be a good example. Someone that I knew was swimming on a river in Missouri with a bunch of friends, and they were drinking. They were diving off of the bank in one of those submerged logs that you really can't see. He dove in and broke his neck on one of those. And his drunk friends didn't know when he didn't come back up. They thought he was being silly. So they left him under for quite a long time. It's really kind of a miracle that finally one of them decided to pull him out, because he was paralyzed from the neck down, and would have drowned a kind of ugly death, but instead he's living a very difficult life. So there's a silver lining there. So, riding ATVs, I think of people who go hunting. A lot of people will have their thermos when they're sitting out there in that deer blind with something that they think will help keep them warm. I know when I worked in surgery, someone fell out of their deer blind onto an arrow and paralyzed from the legs. And another person who wasn't drinking, just reckless, discharged a shotgun into the groin while crawling through a barbed wire fence while they were hunting. So hunting is something I don't recommend that we do if we're impaired or clumsy. So this is an important note, this third bullet. The second one we have said already, but we'll say it again. People continue using the substance despite knowing that it's causing them problems. Now, their denial may be so strong that they know it, but they don't know it. But a lot of times they do. Addiction is also evident when tolerance develops, and the amount that they have to use keeps going up to achieve the desired result. Now, the desired result can be various things. Maybe, okay, let's say it's cocaine, Stillwater. What might be that person seeking when they are taking things? So, it might be euphoria. It might be a great deal of energy. It might be, maybe this is a shy person, and when they take cocaine, they feel much more social, and they can talk and dance and stay up all night. So they're seeking to be more social, perhaps. For someone else that's taking something like heroin, and I know this because I watch A&E sometimes, they stick that needle in their arm and then they just nod off to sleep. So I'm like, what's so fun about that? But I guess there's no anxiety then. They're not worried about where their next meal is coming from or where they're going to spend the night. They're just oblivious to all of the world's problems. They don't care who's going to be the next president or anything else for a period of time. So the desired result is very different between heroin and cocaine. So that's what that sentence is all about. But tolerance is an important thing, a concept for you all to get, is that gradually people require more of their substance of choice to get that effect. Where they used to get the buzz they were seeking with a 6-pack of beer, like I said, it might be an 8-pack, it might be a 12-pack. It just keeps going up. And the same thing happens from what I've read, regardless of what the substance is, that's going to happen. So this is kind of objective 6 here. I told you I was going to tell you what objectives we were applying to. Just real quickly, I'm going to go backwards. So this one is kind of 1 and 6. That's the third slide. I'm backing up because I forgot to write what objective they applied to. None really. Objective 1. And I think, yeah, the first one is objective 1 too. So now we've been through slides 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So how do we, I'll get back in line. So how do we assess someone for a chemical dependency? Well, this is objective 5, which talks about applying clinical reasoning and critical thinking and therapeutic communication. So, we don't just say, so I understand you're a junkie. My dad probably would, but, oh no, he would say dopehead or a doper. because he doesn't know the term junkie. But, or an alcoholic, we're not even supposed to say alcoholic. I haven't broken myself of that one because I didn't know that was not okay. But according to our most recent books, we say things like, we don't use the terms alcoholic or addict. We say, you know, are you having problems with alcohol, or are you drinking more than you would prefer to? So we'll talk about that a little bit. So these are some kinds of questions that you can ask, and you notice there's not a why question here. Somewhere in our book it says we're not really supposed to ask why either. I read that, under therapeutic communication, I think, about why are you doing these things? And that sounds like we're trying to put them on the spot and a little bit morally righteous sometimes, so we have to be careful about how we word things. So really just a matter of fact, non-judgmental approach, and most people are not going to be honest with you if they do not think you have a concern for them. So if they think you're judgmental, they'll just lie to you because they really think it's none of your business and that you're not interested in their lives anyway. It is important to know what other medications, including prescription medications, this person uses. Often their physician may write them a prescription for something, maybe for anxiety, and have no idea how much they drink, for example. And you would have some concerns about combining drugs and alcohol. Okay, so the terminology, as I said, this was kind of new to me. I did not realize the word alcoholic was a problem, but I do now. So we use terms like problems with drinking or difficulty with drug use, maybe using more than intended, and that sort of thing is less. There's a word I'm looking for, label. We don't want to label the person. So that abbreviation down at the bottom there, that AOD is alcohol or other drug use. So these are, this assessment terminology has to do with, again, objective 5, still on objective 5. Okay. So some of the things you look for, this is objective 6, are, that might tip you off to someone. Maybe it's a friend or coworker of yours, maybe it's a classmate, maybe it's a family member. The absenteeism from work, especially after days off. This is a tip off to employers, is people who call in sick on Mondays or Fridays. They actually keep record of what day of the week people tend to call in. And if they're going to confront one of their employees about their absenteeism, they will usually draw it to their attention that you typically, stretch it into a 3-day weekend, and they might not imply that you went on a binge, but they're wondering if there is some sort of substance abuse involved. Paying less attention to your appearance, becoming increasingly isolated from the people around you. You might notice someone with some tremors, again, at work or at school. Alcohol in particular, in even as little as 4 to 6 hours, someone can develop a little bit of a tremor. And if they're in class for several hours back to back, maybe on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, they might start, you might notice in the afternoon that they have a little tremor. Unless they disappear at lunchtime every day, and then they might not. They might just come back with a nice strong mouthwash.
Did you say so many hours specifically? 4 to 6?
Yeah, and it will be that, she asked me if I said a specific time, and I said they can develop a tremor within 4 to 6 hours. I think we get into that more in detail probably Thursday. And then if this is someone that you live with, when I said that frequent secretive disappearances, this might be, I said this person might disappear at lunchtime every day, or when the other classmates are, over in the hub, this one always has something urgent else to do. It might be going somewhere for a pick-me-up or some sort. If it's someone you live with, you might notice that prescription medications seem to disappear in your household. Maybe this friend spent the night with you at your grandmother's and some of her prescription medication disappeared. So those are signs and symptoms, objective 6. And we're gonna flip back to objective 5. How do nurses help individuals with substance use disorders? And part of this is on that page 65 on the recovery model chart. But these are some of the things that we have to do, is acknowledge that it's a partnership, that we're not in charge of their recovery or their problem. Established trust should probably be in the first spot there. These are not necessarily in the order that they would occur, but they're all important things that you would do. Building a therapeutic relationship, and that takes time. Helping them identify their strengths. A lot of people don't think they have any strengths, and they may come off as very confident and self-assured, but that doesn't mean that they really know what their strengths are. And in fact, we should probably do that as our classroom assignment. One of our assignments on Thursday is write down a couple of our own strengths. And some of I think we've talked about coping skills before, so as a nurse, helping them identify their strengths, things that you recognize about them. Maybe they're personable. That's a strength in itself. If they can make friends easily, that's a great strength. That helps you in your career, it helps you in school, it helps you everywhere you go. And then it's just helping them to develop coping skills. Some of you have not learned any coping skills from their home life and their life up to this point in time. So they're usually someone who uses substances to deal with stressors is, that's not an effective coping mechanism. We want to help them think of some ways that they can deal with problems that do not involve substance use, and providing confidence boost and praise whenever possible. They do something nice for someone, or they say something nice about someone, compliment them. They take the time to comb their hair that day and don't usually, you look nice today, or I like your hair today. It's not artificial unless it is. If you can say it sincerely, say something nice about someone sincerely, then say it. But there again, usually people with substance use disorders are very good at detecting sincerity or lack of sincerity. So if you don't feel it, don't say it, because you'll just go backward in your relationship. And being consistent, this goes back to that about milieu. Let them know every time they deal with you that they're dealing with pretty much the same person. We're all, we all have our good days and our bad days, and we have times when we feel like joking a little bit more, and times when we're really busy and we're a little distracted, and you don't so much. But to try to be as consistent as possible in how you interact with them helps them to know what to expect, and to know how to act toward you, too. So we talked a little bit about this. Denial it's really hard to break down the denial, but it has to happen for that person to really want to change their ways. If they can't acknowledge that this substance use is at the root of a lot of their problems, then they're not likely to want to change it. And if they don't want to change it, you can't make them change it. They have to say, you know, this is really causing me more troubles than it's worth. And that sounds pretty easy, but that is such a huge, huge deal. And you keep waiting for them to get to that point and to learn to ask those questions that will make them think. You know, well, what happened before when you lost your last job, you know, or what was going on when your wife left you, or, you know, if you can find ways to, you know, you're not, instead of saying, well, I imagine your wife left because of your drinking, or your wife left because of your drug addiction, you know, helping them to recognize that and to admit it is a huge thing. Even if they don't admit it out loud to you, if they get to thinking about, you know, the problems that have arisen in their life, and the fact that this friend they used to rely on used to let them sleep on their couch and won't anymore because they don't want them around their children or something. You know, little by little, people can chip away at that denial a little bit. But it's very easy to say, it didn't have anything to do with my bad luck, or my wreck, or my, you know, my driving record isn't the reason my boss laid me off, or my wife just really didn't love me. She, you know, there's lots of things people can say instead of admitting that their alcoholism drove a wedge between them and their loved ones. Also, as people's physical condition deteriorates, it's very easy to ignore that too, and to say, well, all the people around me, you know, are getting older too. Everybody has some physical ailments, and just to minimize it. And then I don't use that much, or I can quit if I wanted to. I can quit whenever I want to. That's very common as well. And often, as their friend circle changes, because users, like I said, their other friends kind of drift by the wayside eventually. They're old friends who have a more productive lifestyle, and then new people that kind of show up in their circle are users also. So they start thinking this is normal, but they kind of get a different brain mindset that the way they drink, or the way they smoke, or whatever it is, crush and snort pills, that's common, and that's what everybody else does too. So I know we don't have too much more time. I think we'll do just a little bit of statistics. Let's see. Alcohol disorder in the United States. I looked on the, I think NIH. It's hard to get good information because you have to decide, you know, how to define what's a disorder, since alcohol is legal, and, you know, it's not, and cannabis is legal in almost 30 states now. I think that's for medical use. It's legal in 9 recreationally. So those numbers are changing every year, so then you have to separate it into disorder or acceptable use, and that's kind of hard to define. You have to go back to that, where it's causing them problems and keeping them from being employed and things like that. You don't need to know these statistics. You just need to know that it's a huge deal in the United States. We have a huge, huge problem with substance use disorders, and people who are unable to stay in college or unable to stay in the workplace because of a substance use disorder that are out on the streets, often end up in car accidents or committing crimes that are related to their substance disorder. So it's not just themselves they're hurting all of us. They're hurting our gross national product, our GNP of our country. They're hurting Social Security, so that when you get old, there's not gonna be very many people staying in to help you in your old age, so you're gonna have to work till you're 85. So we really do have a big problem. You see the methamphetamine use went up to 964 million, up from 684 million in just 2 years. And that is all disorder, because there's just not a appropriate order use of methamphetamine. And then the opioids, there again, it's hard to define what is misuse, but Enid, what might be an example of someone who misuses a prescription for an opioid, say Lortab?
You get messed up on
Okay, so one person said taking more than is prescribed, and another said getting messed up on it. Stillwater, what do you think might be something someone could do inappropriately with a Lortab prescription that would be selling?
They can sell them.
Right. Tom Kowal? Anything we haven't hit yet?
refills.
Did you hear that? She said taking when no longer needed.
Okay. Asking for refills even though maybe the original surgery and pain is gone. Selling it or giving it to someone else. So sharing it with other people. Crushing. You know, some of these opioids are to be absorbed over a period of time, but people will crush them and snort them so they get it all at once. They might even crush them, mix them with water and inject them, I don't know. There's all kinds of ways to misuse a legal drug. Like the drugs for ADHD, I think are some of the most commonly sold ones on colon cancer. So someone who has ADHD will sell half of their script for more than it costs them and share it with a friend. So, and it helps them stay up and study and so on and so forth, have a good time. They could probably drink more, but that's an example of a misuse of a legal medication. Okay. I think it's about time for us. Let me see, the couple minutes thing hasn't come on, has it?
It's 1:20.
Okay. 2:20. So it's gonna go off at any time?
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Baird and Mrs. Haig, I am sending you a paper to divide among your students.